Yes. So tonight, let's talk panic, real conversations, real healing.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yes. Yeah, let's do it. So tonight's talk is about panic attacks,
Yes.
why they happen, what purpose they serve, which I want to say feels like none when you're in it,
Mhm.
or if you're encountering multiple sort of in a row, and ultimately what it is that can help to serve to ease them.
Mhm.
And also just to sort of like normalize this, many people experience panic attacks. That and fortunately, it's something that we talk about more because it can be so. I think there used to be a lot of taboo around it because it is. If anybody out there's had one, it can be really disorienting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited we're talking about this topic because I feel like it comes in all the time. And it's just like this like slap to reality of like, oh gosh, I got to do something about my mental health. And,
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of great knowledge within that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, Tracy, you really named it right there. Is that for better or worse, I do, it is our bodies like sending us a really clear wake up call that we do need to tend to something as it relates to mental health, whether or not it's like stress that's happening right now or some trauma that's getting pinged up against due to, current circumstances. All of that. It is an alarm bell and is to be listened to.
totally. So, Polly, what is a panic attack?
Yeah. So a panic attack is sort of like a sudden urge of, fear, discomfort. People can experience it as racing heart, like dizziness, shortness of breath, sort of like disorientation, feeling tight chest, sweating, shaking, and fear of losing control. And I mean, sometimes it really feels like you're going to die. So it's and it has its own, like course that it follows. Like we cannot sustain, our bodies cannot keep us in panic. So that is, if you're in it, in the middle of it, it is helpful to know that like this will pass, this will end. Feels terrible. And for those that are like have never experienced one, the physiological symptoms are there can be very alarming, and often confused with like a heart event or a cardiac event. And I do want to say that if someone is in doubt, important to go get that checked out. Important to err on the side of caution if you do have a concern about your heart. And helpful is that, cardiologists can often say, yeah, this is not a heart event and this is likely a panic attack.
Yeah, I think that's so helpful to know because I think a lot of the times people have like an excuse within like the medical realm of things of like, well, that may just be anxiety, that may just be panic. But it is really important, at least from the mental health realm of things, to have things cleared medically before you assume something is a mental health.
Absolutely.
So yeah, absolutely, I love that advice and
Yeah.
that kind of just description of what it can be. And it doesn't have to be everything all at once. It can be different things for different people. Um,
Yes.
but it's a really uncomfortable physiological
It
response.
is. Yes. 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 Speaking as someone who's gotten them and who's, yeah, they're like, really wild. And I know that a few years, mine were undiagnosed, so I had no idea what was going on to me. Though I'm grateful for them now because and I think this is really helpful for other folks out there, is that they can be used as a barometer of like, because if you feel them coming on, they're sort of like, oh, something I need to go tend to.
Yeah.
I need to ask some deeper questions about what it is that's happening for me, and do some of that examination. So, like, uh, at best, it can be a barometer.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
think that's so true. I see that all the time in my practice where like people have kind of had the experience of like, I'm fine, nothing's wrong. I don't know why anything's going through. And
Yeah.
then as we start to like peel back some of the layers, it's like, oh, there's this like childhood low key, like small t trauma. See our previous trauma,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, or like I didn't even realize that I have like underlying anxiety or something else, or like how I'm actually talking to myself is really not helpful or useful. And I see this a lot of the times too, and let me know your experience with this, but I feel like mid, like between like 20 and or, like 30 and 40, like mid 20s to like 40s, I feel like
Yeah.
this is when it really starts to come to a head. Because I feel like our bodies just start to kind of like break down. They can't like hold back all the feelings that have been
Yes.
building up over time. And then it like
Yeah.
has to be like, hey, there's a problem here. There's a symptom, and you'll pay attention to something physical, even though you'll ignore this. So
Yes. 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 So true. Yeah. That is something that I see and experience um, in my therapy room.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. What's the difference do you see between panic attacks versus panic disorders? And I want to throw
Yeah.
in here too, like just an anxiety attack.
Oh, yes. Yeah. 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 I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know how I would distinguish an anxiety attack from a panic attack, other than like panic attacks feel legit like, whoa. Anxiety attacks can often have, physiological symptoms. I don't know. I don't know what sort of is the threshold of like,
Yeah.
I do know that panic disorder is like repeated events. Which again, like, if someone doesn't know what they are, it can be attributed, like it can be accidentally attributed to something, and then avoidance behaviors develop, like maybe it's just that if I don't go to this place, then okay, I won't go to that place, or I had one here and now I'm not going to go there. So they can really, panic disorder can start to just really like hem folks in.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that occasionally will distinguish like panic from anxiety, I think it's
Yeah.
really like a preference. Panic attacks is like in the DSM. That's like the
Ah,
snazzy term. And I
yeah.
think for me, or at least what I see in my practice, like I think more anxiety attacks tend to be like just more like cognitive, like your brain is like stuck and that turns on your body into like that flight or flight response.
I'm
Whereas
with
panic,
you.
like the body's just doing this thing and your brain's
Right.
like, I think I'm dying,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and they can feel
Yes.
very similar, right? But I
Yeah.
think just sometimes that distinction helps people to even realize like, oh, this may not just be like anxiety, this may be a panic attack,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
this isn't just an anxiety attack, like this is panic. Wait, I think I said the same thing twice, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes so much sense, Tracy, now that you say it that way, because it's sort of it sounds like a little bit like the way in. Like
Hmm.
if it is thoughts that then generate into fight, flight, or freeze, or if it's like, I don't know, I was just walking down the street and then all of a sudden, yeah, yeah,
Totally, totally.
yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
why do panic attacks exist?
Well, kind of going back to like what we had said before, that um somatic manifestation of like, I want some attention to be seen, to have this thing be noticed, to be healed. I do believe it's the body's call for somebody to address their stress, underlying trauma, make a change in their life. That's a little bit the why.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, one of the things that I think about too within like panic is just like the physiological response and that it can be adaptive or helpful in some way
Yes.
if we're like biological beings living off the land, which I use like all the time in
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
therapy room, right? Um, of just like that fight, flight, or freeze response, right? It's super adaptive if I'm in the woods and a fight or flight response happens in my body where I kind of megamorph into this like
Yeah.
being that can like fight a bear or run away from a
Yes.
bear or turn into a rock, right? And
Yeah.
all of those things in the presence of a bear like feel like, yeah, appropriate. Please make me feel strong. Please make me
Yeah.
feel fast,
Yeah.
right? But when you're sitting in traffic
Yes.
and your
Not
heart rate is
helpful.
going out of control or your blood pressure, you can feel your blood pumping through your ears.
Yes.
Or even like if your pupils are like
Right.
dilating so you can see
Dilating.
better, or your
Yeah.
GI is getting all weird, right? If those things are happening when you're sitting in traffic or when you're sitting at work or you're home by yourself thinking about going to the grocery store, like that feels really distressing because it also feels like it's out
Yeah.
of nowhere.
It does. It does. Yeah. Yeah. Well said. It is the body's fight, flight, or freeze. And Not useful necessarily in circumstances that we find ourselves in modern life.
Yes. Yes. We should live
Mhm.
off the land a little more.
I'm all for it.
So we kind of talked about the purpose that they serve as just kind of being that signal.
Yeah.
Um, what can people do when if they're having a panic attack, or if they think they've had this happen before, or if
Yeah.
they're not quite sure what's happening?
Yeah, great question. I mean, this comes back to sort of like all of our old favorites as it relates to grounding, um, doing like five senses, so getting into the present, naming five things you can see, four things you can touch, three things you can hear, smell, taste. So coming back to present, I think it can be helpful to, even just have something in your hand that you are like working and staying focused on is another option. And coming to breathing, like breath practice is so very useful, and you can choose your favorites, be it like box breath, be it triangle breath, be it and I'd encourage whatever it is that the exhalation be a little bit longer, because that helps sort of like cue parasympathetic nervous system. It's my time here. Yeah, and also just to remind oneself, like, this will not always be, this is uncomfortable, and feels dangerous, and it isn't, and I am safe.
Yeah.
I think that those are, and I hope someone comes and says this to me when I'm having a panic attack, because one of the things is I don't believe people that are around me.
No, you're in it. You're in
You're
it.
in it.
But
You're
to like
in
have some of that
it.
knowledge before, right?
Yes, that's so helpful.
Potentially accessible, right? In the
Yes,
moment,
I've survived this.
your
I
body
can
can't
do
say
this.
this, right?
Nope.
Like all of those things are important facts, and you can even have like post-its around to help remind you about the
Absolutely.
thing.
Yes, yes.
Sometimes I'll like when we're talking about coping strategies through a panic attack, I'll like use the example of like an alarm dog, right? Or like a
Yeah.
dog barking at like the mailman, right?
Yes.
And the thing that doesn't help a dog when it's barking at the mailman is screaming at the dog, telling it to shut up.
Yes.
And right,
Yes.
being like
Right?
that's not going to help calm the dog down, right? It calms the dog down for us to be calm, for us to be
Yeah.
gentle. So anything that offers that to you kind of allows for some of that space. So like, hey, body, you're doing what you think I need to be doing. I
Yeah.
hear you, and
Yeah.
I can just be with you, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe I do some massage, or maybe I do something that's super grounding, like eat a warhead, or put
Yeah.
my feet in the
Yeah.
fridge, or take a
Right?
cold shower, or something like that,
Yes.
right? Maybe I,
Essential oils.
mhm,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Long term, what can people do if
Well,
they're,
I think that is really key, because like going back to what we had said before, like you're being called to address something.
mhm,
And so I sort of right off the bat, I would really encourage some people to reach out to a therapist. Um, and important again to make sure that it isn't actually a medical event.
yes,
So therapy, and someone who, um, and I would say also like somatic practices that help downregulate the nervous system, be it yoga, cranial sacral therapy, meditation, occupational therapy, so many ways for us to like access down regulation. And then also, yeah, like um, address lifestyle. Are, at the basics, are you getting enough food? Are you getting enough sleep? Um, like um stimulants, and not only stimulants, just like paying attention to that, also like depressants, so specifically alcohol. Alcohol, like little, like it looks like it's going to chill you out, and yes, maybe it for the first hour and a half, though the chemical, like our body reads it as poison, and so sends out enzymes and other hormones that is like, we got to get this out of our body, and that sends us into anxiety, which, so the anxiety can last a little bit more, like 18 hours, so hence middle of the night, wake up with panic, were you drinking the night before? Something to consider.
Yeah.
And then also, um, like I said, like that is an opportunity to use it as a barometer. Like what will be helpful for me? What worked in the past? How do I best? Is it yoga? Is it meditation? Um, so going to what it is that feels really like a personally useful sort of like arsenal or quiver of things that are helpful.
Yeah, yeah. And I think if you're like not sure, like you're like, I'm having these things, but I don't have anything to like, I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know how to like go deeper with this or to figure out kind of what's the alarm going off about, right? I think
Yeah.
just be open to like a therapist asking you questions and being really like
Yeah,
brutally honest in therapy with yourself, right? Because maybe there's some ugly truths that are hard to look at, and that's what's kind of like eating me up in some ways. So I think being
absolutely.
open to that. One other thing I'll add too, with just like what you were saying, like lifestyle choices and changes that you could be making too.
Yeah.
Um, with the substance pieces, I think a lot of people don't realize that like marijuana can do the same thing, right?
Yes.
And
Mm.
caffeine, like caffeine.
Yes.
I've had like fake like panic attacks that are just me on caffeine, which is like stupid. So, so being able to kind of just recognize what else is in my body too and could be
Absolutely.
these things.
Yes.
And like, what are some questions that a therapist is bringing me? And am I pondering them and actually thinking about them, or am I just used to kind of like diminishing or dismissing things?
Yeah.
And even
Yeah.
saying that to a therapist, right? Be like, I may need to sit and think about this because I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Right.
Because we're here to help you figure it out too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anything in closing, Polly, that you think would be helpful or that we didn't necessarily cover in our quick chat about panic?
The only other thing that I would say is I know there are some great resources out there, books and other things online. And then also just to say that you're not alone. There are other panic disorder or panic attack sufferers around that absolutely can relate. It can feel like a really isolating occurrence or thing that keeps occurring, and just to know that you're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So hopefully this has been helpful just to kind of give some space and time to panic.
Yeah.
I know we've toyed with ideas too of just doing some sort of like Q&A with like therapists,
Yes.
which I think would be really fun. So if that's something that we haven't covered, at least in the live um, series, and people have specific questions for like a Q&A type of thing, just about general
Yeah.
topics and things, I don't think we'd be able to answer like specific like therapeutic questions for like individual things, but like if there's like general questions that a therapist can answer,
Yeah.
that's something that we're kind of bringing together and putting together for your lovely ears. If
Yes.
that's of interest, feel free to send a message, either through our website or through here as well. Also, kind of a plug that we know that there is, Polly has some openings. So if anyone's looking
Yeah.
for a therapist who's really stinking good at working with panic and
Yeah.
understands what it is to have panic,
Yeah.
Polly's yeah gal.
Yeah.
Check her out.
Yeah.
She'll do a
Yeah.
15-minute consult. So if this isn't enough of a warm up to see if she's the right fit for you, you can have a little
Yeah.
with her and see how that feels too. Because I think she'd be really beneficial in this area. She's really super educated and awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would love to help. And happy to do a 15-minute virtual consult to see if it feels like a good fit. And if it doesn't feel like a good fit with me, I will help you get to where you need to be. Because it's really important that our goal is to help folks get connected to where it is they're gonna feel like they can heal.
And it's hard to navigate. It's hard to navigate the system. So we're always happy to
Yeah,
provide resources.
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for
Yay.
engaging in our summer live series. And now we can
All
transition into
right.
fall, I guess.
Yes, tomorrow is officially October.
I know. Rounding it out before October.
Right. Yes, yes. But we're gonna have a lot of fun,
Yeah.
like in fall and into the holidays. I mean, talk about resources. Let's line them up because
Yeah,
we need that as we enter into this wonderful holiday season.
for sure. Stay tuned for things that are to come. We always have some things in the works happening. So
Yes.
we'll let
Yeah.
you know as those resources become available to keep you informed and to keep giving out some free resources for folks.
Yep. Yep. Cool. Thanks,
Oh my
Tracy.
gosh, yes. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.